Hey, and good afternoon, good morning, or good evening where you are in the world. Today, we are joined by some of the engineers from the InSpec team. I'm super excited to get and hear about this. I know Kaya is too. We've been
Yes.
jumping up and down for the last 20 minutes waiting for the stream to start, so I'm pretty excited by this.
Right.
So
Great
today
change.
we'll do our pre-flight checks, which we always do, and then we'll do some introductions. As I think most of the people on the stream will have seen, probably maybe none of us before, and obviously no one's seen Lokesh, Nikita, and Masundra before. So let's go and do that.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
before I do that, if you are not following us on Twitter, you should be following us on Twitter because there are giveaways and interesting webinars that you might want to go to and all that kind of stuff. So, and in fact, if you haven't seen it, I'm not just wearing a grey t-shirt today. I'm actually wearing my Chef Comp t-shirt for this year,
Yay.
which is pretty sweet. All of that stuff was tweeted on Twitter, and there's a really nice place to follow us there. If you're not following me on Twitter, that's fine. I don't really mind, but there's my Twitter. That's all good. I'm usually either talking about Brexit because I'm an angry Brit now, or I'm talking about a chef on Twitter.
Oh.
Yarg. And if you would like to follow Kaya on Twitter, there is her handle down there. Can I angle white thing down there? Yeah.
I mostly just repost chef stuff, so.
It's pretty much us today. If you're not on the Chef Community Slack, there is the link to get involved. That is the best place to get in a conversation with any of the people on stream right now and any of the other communities we can. You're around the Chef community, so if you're in Habitat, if you're into InSpec, you're into Chef Info Client, or just any of the communities out there, go to Chef Community Slack. And there's plenty of people there. We are in probably every room, so I'm not going to mention it. But we're in general, DevRel room, and if you pick a room, we're probably there.
Pick a room, any room.
And then, if you want a slower pace of interaction, and you've got some like long snippets, kind of like a Stack Overflow of the Chef world. Discourse.chef.io is a kind of a forum to post your questions and tell us the awesome things you're doing.
Right.
And whilst you're doing,
oh, I'm sorry, Dan, but you can also on Discourse get community meeting updates, and you will get notified when things release. So
yeah, and if you haven't. Well, if you don't know about docs.chef.io, I would say why not? Because there are, well, especially from the InSpec side of things, this is my go-to for all the InSpec resources. So I think it's docs.chef.io/InSpec. Someone correct me if I'm wrong there, but that's where I get all my InSpec resources from. I had to write them, and then like the little gotchas, that kind of stuff, which is pretty sweet. And with that said and done, I will take a breather for a second. I will stop talking because I will stop breathing otherwise.
Don't stop breathing. Don't stop breathing. Thank you for those marvelous pre-flight checks, Dan. Well, I'm sure you all know Dan and I, but let's introduce, or let's get the InSpec team to introduce themselves, like so we can get to know them. Why don't we start with you, Lokesh, and then you can pass it on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Good day, folks. I'm Lokesh. I'm currently the senior product manager for Chef Compliance product portfolio. I take care of Cloud Resource Pack team, product requirements end to end, and inspect requirements end to end, and then content requirements end to end. So I'm basically product manager handling the Chef Compliance product portfolio. If you have any clarifications related to Chef Compliance, please reach out to me in Slack, ping me in either a direct message or reach out to us in Slack community. I'm happy to answer your questions. This is about me, and I'm almost like 8 months old in Chef, and prior to that I was working with the Oracle Casby product portfolio. I would hand it over to Vasudha to introduce herself.
Awesome.
Hi, hello, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are. And I am working with Inspect team last 6 months probably, and I have been working with Chef almost like 6 years as a contractor, and I have worked on various products like Chef Infra, Knife plugins, Azure Chef extensions, and also work on the compliance team with the contents. So yeah, so hoping this session will be very helpful for you. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you. What about you, Nikita?
Yeah, so hello everyone, and I'm part of Chef Inspect team, co-mate to Vasundhara, and I've been working here since last 6 7 months, and I'm from India, is all you can say. I mean, of course, my other people here are also from India, except from Kia and Dan, and yeah, that's all about me. And if there's any question regarding Inspect, you can reach out to me on Slack.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So now let's talk about what we're talking about today. Let's kind of get into like an overview. We're talking about what's new in InSpec, right? Is that kind of yeah? Like let's can you give us an overview, Lokesh, about
Yeah,
kind of yeah what we're
yeah,
going to
sure,
be
Kian.
going
I'll
over?
I'll just share my screen. I have few slides to present, and we have few demo to showcase as well. Just give me a minute.
Awesome.
Yeah, can you see my screen? Okay. Hello.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
We are
Yeah.
good to go.
Yeah. So this is the agenda for today's session. So we are planning to give an overview of InSpec. There might be few users of InSpec who are new to InSpec. So just to give a quick understanding to them, like what is InSpec, and then the key focus or key items in today's session is like to highlight the key features of InSpec which we have launched in 2021, and then the other interesting fact is to show the demo of key features of 2021, and then finally wrap it up with other interesting features which we can't able to demo. So this is the agenda for today's session, and so we three are the speakers who will be handling this session, like myself, Lokesh, Vasunthra, and Nikita. All right. um, so this is the brief overview about InSpec. So what is InSpec? So basically, InSpec is like an open source testing framework for infrastructure with a human and mission readable language, like specifying for compliance and security and policy requirements. And InSpec also helps you to do like a test driven development, and it also eliminates the huge amount of rework done during audit lifecycle. That is one of the pain points which InSpec solves. Yeah, and another interesting note or another interesting factor, if you see on InSpec side, it's like dev people, DevSecOps, system admin, IT managers, they are all using InSpec. They are all the good boys or good friends of InSpec. And it also one of the another interesting factors, like it helps to test and detect any security risk in pre or post production life cycle. And then the other factor is like it is used as a consistency in it provides a consistent domain specific language that tests the status of any component in your environment, be it a file, be it a package, be it user, or be it a cloud server, or be it a cloud resource. So any component, if you want to test, use as a key product. And if you look at the right hand side, the some of the quick facts on InSpec community
Lokesh,
engagement.
just sorry disturbing. I think
Yeah.
you forgot to do the slideshow.
Sorry, Vasudha?
Slideshow.
Okay, the full session. Okay.
Oh,
Can you see it full now?
yeah, lovely.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
that's good.
Okay. Yeah. So on the right hand side, if you see like the quick facts about InSpec right now. So right now there are like 2,400 plus community members or contributors to InSpec, and there are like 3,000 plus PRs being created. Sorry, being pushed, and 600 plus folks being created, and 20 plus platforms are there. or supported by InSpec. And there are like 2000 plus issues which has been addressed right now. And the other interesting element here is like our open source is scanned and protected by Sonar Cloud. So this is the overview about InSpec and the key interesting factors of InSpec. Now let's move to the coverage aspects. So regarding coverage, so one other interesting element is like InSpec does not require an agent or a Ruby language to be installed on the target machine. You don't need these dependencies. That's one other interesting factor. And the InSpec has a good coverage on any to test on any infra, be it like Windows, Linux, Oracle Solaris, containers, Dockers, etc. So the target aspect is like we have very huge amount of coverage involved here. So that's about the InSpec coverage aspect. And then on the DSL, so what is a DSL? So basically it's like a domain specific language. So InSpec DSL is like used by security SecOps people. And then it is InSpec allows to write different types of controls based on Ruby. And so what does InSpec or what it has overall like? So InSpec as a profile on a high level, that is like the abstraction layer. And inside a profile you will have like set of controls, and within a control you have like a set of tests. And how a test is created, it is being created with help of resources and matches. So yeah, what I mean is like if you see here, there's like a control. So a group of controls makes a profile. So if you see the control CAS OS services, this is a control. And then this is the control title. And then describe package is a test scenario. And then should not and be installed is like it's similar to matches. And then the package here is the resource. So and the resource can be file or users depending on your scenario. So this is on the InSpec DSL, the abstraction level we use. And then yeah, so right now let's focus on the key features in Chef InSpec 2021. So this is the highlighting aspect or highlighting from here onwards. You will see the features what we have launched in InSpec 2021. So the some of the key features like new resources on different variety of databases. The another one is like integration with Open Policy Agent, and the integration of cook style linter with InSpec linter, and then SC Linux support, and then InSpec automate command, and InSpec shell with inputs. So these are the key features we have launched. And uh, and, and you will get to know, you will see the demo of all these features given by our InSpec engineering team, Vasunta, for each of these items. So now let's move to the first one, new database resources. So so one of the key themes we have adopted, and the major request came from our customers for the inspect for this current quarter is to build on DB resources. So we have created a DB resources for Sybase, IBM Db2, MongoDB, Cassandra DB, Oracle, MS SQL, and so on. So these many DBs we have created, and then with that, like there are two resources in each DB, session and conf resource primarily. And what are the key benefits of DB resources for InSpec users? So one of the key benefits, like user can write different controls related to CAS and stick benchmarks of DB. Say for example, we have MongoDB for CAS benchmark. You can use these resources to write different set of controls for MongoDB CAS benchmark. And then user also can test, like for example, test number of rows in the query result, test for matching database and role name, test the database parameters, test the port on which DB listens, test the security configuration options. So these are different scenarios one can test on a different set of DB. And let's move on to the key database demo items. One is done by Vasunthra for IBM Db2. Vasunthra will be demoing it, and and then Nikita will be doing it on Cassandra DB. Let me hand over to Vasunthra for IBM Db2 demo. Over to you, Vasunthra.
Yeah, thanks, Lokesh. Let me share the
Yeah.
slide. Let okay. I just want to confirm that my screen is visible, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Let's.
Okay.
Okay.
Is
Yep.
it
I
now?
see it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Whoop.
Okay.
Yep. Hold on.
So
Me and
yeah.
Clara are like clicking the buttons at the same time.
Okay. So yeah, so today I'm going to talk about this, particularly the IBM DB2 resources which we are integrated into the InSpec to help to verify the configuration, and we can query and check the session, means the results of the query through InSpec. So as everyone knows, like IBM DB2 is a relational database, and we have added support for that into InSpec. So we have basically introduced two resources, IBM DB2 Conf and IBM DB2 Session resources. So IBM DB2 Conf resource basically helps in verifying the configuration values of the IBM DB2 database, whereas IBM DB2 Session resource helps to run a query on the database and verify the results of that query. So here is let me I'm sorry, I forgot to do the slideshow. uh, yeah, so you can see here that uh, first is the IBM DB2 Conf resource we are using. So what we are checking, like whether so this is something from the CIS benchmark, which says enable server based authentication. So for this, we are checking in the database whether this particular server connection authentication has been set to the server or not. So what this resource requires as a parameter is the executable for part to the deep. You are not providing, it is assuming that it has been set in that as an environment variable. And the second thing is we need is that a database instance name. So my instance database instance name is db2 instance 1, which is I'm using, and I'm checking that whether the output is empty, because we are getting the output in the array format, and we are checking from that array whether this particular setting is there or not. So this is more of an IBM DB2 conf resource. And second resource which we have is like IBM DB2 sessions resource. So for the IBM DB2 session resource, we are require additional two parameters, that is the database name and this query that we want to execute and check the result from it. So it is again one of the CIS benchmark which I have added as an example. Like it is like query on this syscat rollout and checks the roles, and we are checking whether the system manager is present in that or not. And the output of this basically comes in the string format, and we are just matching on the string currently. So yeah, so let's move on to the demo part of it. So yeah, just give me a minute.
So I'm guessing this is quite similar for most of the databases. So you've got like query parameters, and then like most of them have ways of checking for the configuration for all the databases. So there's like there's a config resource for Postgres as well, isn't there?
Yeah, so conf resource, basically here we are querying, and for the conf resource in IBM DB2, basically there is something called DB2 get configuration values. There is again a query, but we are executing at the back end and getting all the values of the configuration into the array, and we are checking that.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So I'm just letting you know that this is a pre-recorded video so that we don't have any glitch. So yeah, if you can see my screen, like again, these are the same examples. So this is my profile having the two controls into it, which I have like just defined you like what it is. So let's go ahead. So currently we will see executing only this IBM DB2 conf resource. So yeah. So I have set up my IBM Db2 on the Docker. So I'm just connecting to the IBM Db2 database. So I'm just adding the using the bash to sue on the DB2 instance user, using the DB2 instance user, so that I can query. Yeah, so now we are connect to that container, and I'm going to just demo, like now just checking like whether we are connected to the DB2. Yeah. So this is the command which will be configuration values of the IBM DB2. So DB2 get database manager configuration, that is the query. So you can see there are like a lot of configuration settings over here. So out of which we are checking basically the one. So I will just scrape on that, like that's srvcon auth value,
Okay.
whether to check like whether it has the desired value, so that first we can see the value. So I'm just scraping on that. Yeah, so we can see that it is not specified. So we are expecting that our profile should fail because it is not having the desired value. So let's run the profile. Yeah, so now I'm here executing the profile. I'm just checking that the I'm just getting the Docker container ID so that I can log in. Sorry, I can use that as a target.
Okay.
So since I this particular version or this particular feature has got release afterwards, and I have like already have some different version on the Spring, I'm using the bundle exec, which is I'm currently on the main brush, so that's why I'm using bundle exec. Otherwise you just have to use the inspec exec command. So I'm just giving the Docker related credentials like username and the password along with it, and this is basically the profile which I'm executing.
Cassandra, are you able
Yeah.
to make your font a little bit bigger? Like, is it? Can
Mm,
you like?
this is a pre-recorded, so I
Oh,
won't
that's
be
right.
able to.
That's
I'm
right.
so
Okay,
sorry.
never mind then.
Yeah, yeah. So you can see like since the values are not set according to the what we require, this particular control has failed. So now let's move on and change the value. So I'm just updating the configuration. Yeah, so we have updated the configuration and now it's server. So now we are expecting that our profile should pass. So I just executed this again. So let's see the results. So this has been passed. So this is more of about an IBM DB2 conf resource. Now let's move it to the another resource.
Yeah. Thanks,
Uh,
thanks, Asanta.
yeah, Lokesh, I'm just demoing the another resource too.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So we will just go further and just use this query on and check what is the values on the DB2 first. So I'm just attaching to the DB2 instance here first, and then connecting to the database so that I can query. Yeah, and just I'm going to execute the query to get the values. Yeah, so we can see these are the values from that. So roles, basically the roles, and we are checking that does it has the system manager into it. Yeah, so just rerun the profile. We will be rerunning the profile again. Yeah, so this has passed. Yeah, so that's all about these two resources helps you in inspecting like compliance in your IBM DB2 database. Yeah, that's all. Thank you. Yeah, Lokesh.
That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that query parameter stuff is really really flexible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just works really well with the matches stuff. So you've got like if you bring your code back up for me a second, I think there's some interesting stuff there. Like
You're talking about
yeah,
this
the matches are just super flexible, so you can kind of do anything you want with them.
Yeah.
And if you know what query you want, you can just pull anything out of the database at that point. So
yes.
basically
Right.
Swiss Army knife, really.
Well, so you could just put any string in there in the matching. That's yeah.
And really, the heavyweight stuff is done by Train, I'm guessing, isn't it? There, I'm guessing Train is doing all the connection work in the background for us.
Yeah, it is connecting to the in background. We are going to like little bit maybe like some of the things we will still analyzing, and if we can improve more on this output, we are going to do that also. Yeah, so that's it.
Cool.
Thanks, Vasundhara. Let's move to Cassandra DB. One minute, I'll just share my screen. Yeah, so in Cassandra DB also we have like a conf resource which allows to test the Cassandra DB configuration, and a Cassandra DB session resource which allows to query on the database and test results. So over to you, Nikita, to show the Cassandra DB demo.
Yeah, thank you, Lokesh. So just like Lokesh mentioned, Cassandra DB, there are two resources that InSpec provides, and that's how we can audit Cassandra DB, which is a NoSQL database. So I'll head over towards the demo. I hope my screen is visible, so I'll start.
Yes, Nikita, I can see it.
Yep.
Okay, so just like Vasundhara demoed right now, there were two resources of IBM DB, Conf and Session 1. So we'll go with the demo of Conf resource first, and it's a resource which checks your configuration of the database from the configuration file. So let's go with this demo. So this is the syntax of Cassandra DB conf, and as we can see, it's checking the configuration, listen address, number token, stuff like that. And this was inspired from CI's workbench, which makes the system compliant. These are some of the policies. So it checks here the Cassandra YAML file, which is the conf file. Here we can see it's making sure the network connections are all proper and compliant. And according to that, these are the rules, or you can say inspect test, which are written so that we can check if Cassandra is all compliant when it comes to configuration. And this is the command which I'm going to run, which is pointing towards the target machine. It's a Linux node. And yeah. So before running that test, let's see our configuration file, which is a YAML file. As we can see, it's the key value pairs, and all along the file, we can get all these key pairs. Now we can move towards the test, and we can see the command which I mentioned before. It's running the test against the node. And here it's checking the configuration key points like listener address and number tokens, and it's running successfully because it's checking the value from conf file. Now the another one is session source. Basically, it's your system using query. And here the syntax is you can provide username, password, even host and port. And you can provide a query here, and then you need to match your output. Again, there's a flexibility. So this was inspired from CI's workbench rules, like where you can make sure your super user is compliant. So you query this. If you want to make sure your user roles are compliant, you query something like this. So anything which requires a check in your system so that you can check if it's compliant or not, you can query it using this resource. So I've taken an example of a very simple query. Before we run that test, we'll just see if our SQL shell, what is the value it returns. So we'll run this query using that shell. And it's giving test cluster. And that's what I'm going to match using my test as well. It's the same node, same file. And it takes some time. And yeah, we can see it's matching with the test cluster, and even that's a success. So this is how the Cassandra DB could be audited, and it's one of the most used NoSQL database. And yeah, you can use InSpec to audit that. And over to you, Lokesh.
All right.
Before you take over, I'm just going to point out that the banging in the background indicates video is firecrackers. Just in case anyone's wondering, because I was wondering for a second.
Yeah. Yeah, I was also wondering the same if you guys heard or not. It's in India festive season, right. So yeah.
It was going off last night here, so
okay.
Yeah. And then we've got another couple of days, and then we've got more fireworks happening in the UK. So it's just like a week-long fireworks, which I'm assuming is the same in India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's going to happen more in my next video also, so be prepared.
That's awesome. I love that. Celebration time.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Oh, yours, Akash. Let me just enable that for you.
All right. So the first feature we have seen, it's on the InSpec DB resources. One is Ibm Db2 and then Cassandra DB. So the next feature which we are going to demo, it's on the integration with Open Policy Agent. So before that, let's see what is Oppa, what is a policy, or what is a policy engine first. So basically, what is Oppa? So Oppa it's like a open source general purpose policy decision engine. It is basically implemented in Golang, and then the policy documents are implemented in a specialized language called Rego. So this is the basic definition of Oppa. And then what is a policy in Oppa? If you see, we have like a lot of controls, lot of rules. So these set of rules combinedly they call it as a policy. And what is a policy engine? So policy engine is basically like a software component, maybe which allows user to query the policies and for decisions. So if I make a policy, say like allow SSH in the system, the decision will be yes or no. So the users can query the decision with the help of the policy engine. So this is the key definitions of Oppa, policy and policy engine. And then like let's see why users are considering Oppa. There are 5 reasons, I should say. One is Rego. It is written like highly declarative language, which is easy to describe the policy. That is the Rego language. And then it is like general purpose. So it can be easily embedded in a library, and it can be deployed as a daemon, or it can be called in or run in the command line environment. And then it is also used to express policies and rules with a simple data structures, like in the JSON format or in YAML format. So that's on the general purpose side. And the third key reason is like it's on the cloud native side. It is built up ground up from like in the container and cloud native and it's also like lightweight nature, which can be higher, which can be easy to deploy and distribute in a big massive scale environment, which are using like microservices architecture and serverless workloads. So this on the cloud native aspect. And then fourth is obviously like it has like it is an open source, and finally like it has good number of integration support with other software also, CI/CD software. So this is on the five reasons why users are going behind Oppa, and why we are. So what are the key integration which we are going to do with Oppa? So we have right currently we have thought through on the first phase. It is like two resources we have identified. One is Oppa CLI and Oppa API resource. This is basically to query the Oppa policy agent and the data which it inputs and outputs through JSON format. So basically, these two resources will query the Oppa CLI and Oppa API JSON format. So that's the intention we have. So and this is like a key benefit also. And one more thing is like the underlying factor is like it queries the open policy agent with the help of Oppa policy file, data file, and a query. So these are three inputs which we passed. So this is on the Oppa integration aspects. I will hand it over to Vasundhara to talk about the workflow of Oppa, and then the sample scenario which she is going to showcase, and the demo of this InSpec integration with Open Policy Agent. Over to you, Vasundhara.
Yes, Lokesh, thank you. So just sharing the screen. Okay. So this is more of an diagram showing the integration of Oppa, how we did that with InSpec. So basically, through the InSpec profile, we can query on the Oppa Open Policy Agent engine, and it uses the basically the, as Lokesh already mentioned, that policy file, then the data file to make the decision, and returns that back to InSpec, and InSpec verifies through that using our resources, and the like we can use the matchers to do this and show the results. Yeah. So next, here is just I'm showing that whatever the example that I'm going to use to demo the Oppa resources. So suppose we have an organization like which has a different servers and exposing the different protocols like HTTP, SSH, HTTPS, etc. And those are the servers which are connected to network, can be public, it can connect to public or private network, and those are attached to different ports. So this is the just diagrammatical representation of that. And yeah, this is like supposedly one of the script of provisioning those servers using this data. So these are the different servers and networks and ports. So we can see there are like five servers using different protocols and ports, and some of the networks are public and private. So this is a JSON format. This will we will be using as an input JSON, which OPA needs. And this is a basically a policy. So uh, policy file. We are using an example like, for example, organization wants to impose an particular security policy on these servers, like this servers. So for example, public the servers which are exposed to the public network should not use the HTTP protocol, then any of the servers should not use the telnet protocol. So these are the, like, we are this policy file uses the violation using the, basically it is a kind of a function which is checking that. And this file also we will need to provide to the resources, so that OPA can make the decision based on it. So this is an example of that file which is written in the Reco. So And Oppa finally sent us the decision in the format of the JSON. So this is the format of the JSON which Oppa gives us. So results contains those. So this value can, if in any of the servers is not basically violating any policy. So currently CI and BusyBox is the one which is currently, if we can see, is violating the policy because it is using the HTTP and Telnet protocol. So yeah, so moving forward, like this is the resource, first resource, like Oppa CLI resource. So Oppa CLI resource basically uses the command line to carry on to the Oppa. So this requires basically three parameters like query, then the policy. Policy is nothing but the path to the policy file, and data, so path to the data file. And then we are checking using the bmt matcher, like whether the results are empty. So we are expecting that nothing is like violating the policy, so we are using the bmt matchers to check whether there is anything which is violating the policy. Next is like Oppa API resource. So Oppa API, the difference only here is like Oppa can be run as a server, and we can use APIs to query on it. So here only the change is like we require the URL of the server, and the query part goes into this format, and the data only we need to provide the path of the data file. The policy is already loaded in the server, so we don't need to provide that. And same way, like for the Oppa API, the output is little different, so we are just checking the result is not empty. So this is how these resources are. So let's go to the demo of it. Just a minute.
I'm assuming this has been quite a long time in the works, because the Oppa agent's pretty popular now in the open source community.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. So like we did in the last demo, we will be executing one by one so that it can be clear to us. So we will be executing first the Oppa CLI resource, and basically uh, this is the part to my policy file and the input.json file. Yeah, so this is my input.json file, which I have already explained. So I just go quickly to the next things where I will demo executing the profile. So since Oppa is installed on my system, I don't have to provide the target, so I'm just providing the profile path. So this no create log file basically avoids to create inspec.log file. So I'm just using that so that it can cache, should not cache anything. Yeah, so we can see that the it is like failed because currently we are checking that it should be I'm so sorry, 1 second. Yeah, so we are expecting that it should be empty, but it's not empty because two of the servers are violating the policy. So let's change the data and see whether it's whether it's pass or so I'm just making that it should be HTTPS, both should be HTTPS so that it can pass. It should pass. 1 second. So again, I'm running the profile after changes. Yeah, so this is how the Oppa CLI works, and let's now see how Oppa API works. So here basically I'm running the Oppa as a server. I'm just so as I mentioned, like it just needs a URL. So currently it's working on my local, so it's localhost 8181, and rest of the things like I have mentioned. So for the input file, like here v1 data.input.json, I'm using the different file for API because for API the input has to be wrapped into the input parameter in the JSON, and then it should be given to the Oppa. So that is the only difference. So I'm just rerunning the profile again. Yeah, so same, like it failed, and you can see that it has called the APIs here. I'm just changing the things again, like I changed the things, like protocols. And I'm rerunning the profile again. Yeah, so we can see that it has been passed now. Yeah, so yeah, that's all, like how the Oppa API and the Oppa CLI both the resources works. Any query?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's like quite nicely integrated. It's not too.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the input to the input JSON is a bit of a step for most people, but if you're already using Oppa CLI,
Yeah,
then it's
and this JSON can be any arbitrary JSON. It does not require any specific format.
that's really cool.
When you're referring to the file in the command, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so it's not, because I was initially, before you did the demo, I was wondering, like, how do you get, then how do you read the JSON?
Yeah, so basically Oppa needs the query. So basically as I shown the policy file, so this is like how we should query on the policy file, like data example dot violation. So and then we have to provide that policy file path and the data file, which is that JSON file.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, Sundar. Let's shift to cook style integration aspect. 1 minute.
Before you jump in there a second, if anyone's got any questions in the stream, I know it's 3 people in the stream at the minute. If anyone's got any questions about IPA, InSpec of any sorts, now is the best time to ask.
Best time.
Someone in the InSpec room said, "What's your best InSpec joke?" Sadly, we think that everyone's out of control. So no. I think it's like I say seriously. If anyone's got questions they want to ask about anything about InSpec related, then these are the best times to ask.
Yep, we got the team.
We love having questions on. We can continue just showing you things, and that's always really nice, and you want to see that kind of stuff. But now is the best time to to grab our experts.
For sure.
But on that note, let's get to Cookstar.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So, all right, let's move on to cook style integration with InSpec linting. So, for example, we have like two types of linters in Chef. One is InSpec check, which basically checks the inspect profiles for errors, missing metadata, and other common cell issues. The other one is like cook style check, which is basically from Chef workstation, and it's like a workstation linter. So this integration of cookstyle with inspec will basically check for cookstyle errors during the inspect check, and it will be done in a better or in a secure way. So some of the key benefits of cookstyle integration are like having a good style condensations and best practices, having similarity or uniformity in the code structure, the detecting deprecated code that creates error, detecting a common chef inspect mistakes which causes the code to fail. So these are the key benefits of this integration which you will get. All right, I've given the overview about Cook's integration. Now let's pass it to Nikita to give a quick demo on this one. Over to you, Nikita.
Yeah, thank you, Lokesh. So yeah, we've integrated cook style with inspect check, which just makes this command even more powerful, since inspect check is one of the powerful command of inspec itself. So I'll show you how all this power is working and what's going behind the scene. Okay. So as we can see, this is the profile, and you can't understand what this profile is actually doing. There's no description, there's no title. We are also using attribute, which is the deprecated functionality. Here you can see there's no control name at all, it's blank. And these are some bugs in a profile, and we want to make sure our inspect check.
Sorry, Nikita, are you sharing your screen?
Yes, you can't see that?
Now I can see.
Should I start from the beginning? Was everyone
Yeah.
not able to see it?
Okay.
No, I think it was off for some reason. Let me start again. It should be fine.
Yeah, go ahead from the beginning.
Okay, so yeah, because that's important. You guys should know what I'm explaining. So yeah, so okay, I'll start over. So as I was mentioning, I have prepared a very basic profile, and there's nothing in this profile which will explain what this profile is actually doing. There's no title, there's no description. We're also using the deprecated functionality attribute, and in the last control there's no name of control whatsoever. It's a blank thing. So these are some of the flaws of this profile, and our does hold that power to going wrong with the profile before you can proceed with your scanning. So this is the syntax: inspect check. Then you mention the paths to your local profile. I'm using the local profile. You can use another profile as well. It takes few seconds, and yeah, these are warnings which we can ignore. And then there's location of my local profile, the name of the profile, number of controls, and it's saying valid false, which means our check failed, because you can see there's an error with red. There's no title, description. Those are the warnings. And in the end, we can see the attribute method is the deprecated one. We shouldn't be using that. So in the end, it also gives you how many errors, warnings, and offenses are there. And to make sure this check passes, the value needs to be true, and that will only happen if there's no error and there's no offenses in your profile. So once you've made sure your profile is out of errors and out of offenses, and you check your profile again, it's going to pass, and then you can proceed with your scanning. So this is how, with an integration of Kernel, it has made this check more. And yeah, that's the magic of inspect check. So yeah, over to you, Lokesh.
That's really nice.
Yes.
So I'm gonna jump in again because why not? I help run sous chefs and kind of stuff, and we run loads and loads of inspect tests, and I've never run inspect check before because we don't need to most of the time. But it'd be really, really nice to be able to run InSpec check and just get the cook style failures just for the InSpec profiles back. Because obviously, if you're writing cookbooks with InSpec as its testing language, you've got both InSpec fail, like InSpec linting problems, and then you've also got your cookbook linting problems.
Yeah,
which is cool.
and
yeah.
And sometimes it also gives you the error thing. If you don't check your profile, it might not get executed. It might throw you a syntax error. So that's where check saves you.
Gotcha. Makes sense. We've got a question.
Yeah. Let me just put it on screen.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Time again.
We're like perfect timing. We're like it's on and off the screen before we can notice. So I think we're talking about the reporters here. So how can the InSpec check output in a JSON format? So we can do something about that. So lots of times things like Jenkins or Circle CI will want to grab JSON output from a file and do something with that. Is that possible with InSpec check to get JSON output?
Yeah, we can do that. We can get this format into JSON as well. So, sadly, I've not demoed that part.
I'm going to assume it's InSpec check -- reporter JSON.
I should have.
I think it's right, isn't it?
Okay.
I think I just put it in our private chat. I think it's that, isn't it? Let's see.
Yeah, we can do that way.
Yeah, I think that'll do the job. So let me just grab that for you. That's a great question, Caleb.
Yes, great question.
Yeah.
There are a number of extra reporters actually. So if you don't want JSON, there's CLI. Where are they? Where are they? CLI, JSON minimum, YAML, doc. I think doc's the default. I'm pretty sure documentation's default. JUnit and JUnit 2. JUnit and JUnit 2 might be probably the more industry standard way of doing outputs. Those are so Circle CI would definitely use that, and as would Jenkins be able to use that, which is pretty sweet. But thanks. Great question.
Yeah, done. So can we move to AC Linux then?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, sharing the screen. 1 second. Okay, so this was one of the community requests to support the AC Linux, and we are successfully integrated that. So security, AC Linux provides basically the additional layer to the system security to all Linux-based systems. And now with the InSpec, you can verify those particular security settings. So we are basically checking first, like we can use the AC Linux resources to check something like whether the AC Linux is installed, whether it's enabled. Then we can check the AC Linux modules configuration and AC Linux booleans using that. So let's move to the next slide. So this is the example of the profile where I'm checking like using the AC Linux resource, and these are the kind matchers we can use to check whether AC Linux is installed. So you can use a matcher be installed, then be enabled. So to just check whether it's enabled, we can say that should not be disabled. So this is which you can do. The another thing which you can do is like query on the booleans, like using the sclinux.booleans.var, and you can give the boolean value here and see if it's on or off. So these are the two different booleans where I'm checking whether those are the on or off. And the third thing which you can query on is modules like selinux.modules, where I'm checking the one of the module name Zebra. Does it exist? Then whether it's installed, the status of is states are whether it's enabled, and the priorities is like include the 100 that I'm checking here. So this is the different way we can use these resources to verify the SLinux settings. So now just quickly move on to the SLinux InSpec resource demo. Yeah, so same examples I have. So I'm checking whether it's installed, whether the booleans are on, off, and whether the modules has installed, enabled, and had the priority set as 100. So I'm just going up one by one to execute that. It is more clear. So we are first checking whether it's installed or like it's been disabled. Sorry, it's been enabled. Yeah, so SC status is basically the command where we can check the status of the SC Linux. So currently it is enabled. So we will just run the profile and it should pass because it is installed and enabled. So I'm just using, I have set up this using Vagrant. So I'm just giving the target as Vagrant and the key, private key, so that it can log in into that. And we have to use the sudo command basically because this commands has to be done as a sudo user. Okay, sorry, it's failed because I think I forgot to give the port number. So I'm just adding the port. Yeah, we can see. So this result is fast. So now we will see the booleans. So first I'm checking the HTTPD enable home directories like off. And in the second I'm checking the squid connect any should be on. So let's go to the my Vagrant machine where I have a SE Linux running and just check the values of those two booleans first. So we can get the values of through the sudo se manage booleans -l full command. So there are lot of booleans out of which we can grab for the particular one which we are checking. So we can see currently it is off. So it should pass. And the another one. Yeah, so this is on. So we are expecting it should be on. So both the controls should pass. So we will rerun our profile. So as expected, both the resources has, sorry, the controls has passed. Then we will move on next to the SE Linux module resource. So SE Linux, we can query using SE Linux.modules, and I'm just querying on the Zebra. So again, we can just verify this value on the server. So the command is sudo se module -l full. So you can see, and I'm just scraping on the things like Zebra. Actually, here we can see that it has like 100 and it's installed and it has a priority settings. So just rerunning the things. So this has been successfully passed. Yeah, so that's how like you can use this to verify the things. I'm just going to the profile so that, yeah. So yeah, any queries on this?
Not that I can see at the moment. I was glad to see. I've just had a check at the SE Linux cookbook on the supermarket, and we're already using the new SE Linux controls, which is super nice. I'll paste that in the chat actually. We're only using a small subset of the SE Linux controls, but that's really nice. We're not using most of the Booleans. We're kind of just checking: is it disabled? Is it permissive? That kind of stuff. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
We've got a decent number of test suites there, but it's nice to see that we're already seeing it out in the community, and the community is using these controls. I'm assuming they just picked it up the day it came out. Now, knowing the sous chef people, actually, I know I didn't do this, so this wasn't me for once. But yeah, some pretty smart people out there picking the new controls up pretty quickly. How long has it been out for? Like 2 months now, or is it less than
that? So you're asking the release?
Yeah.
A release, I think it is more than 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is when asked by community itself. So it is kind of, we want similar like server spec. It should work. So we have integrated this.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Vasundhara. Let's move to the next. So there are two features demo pending. So the last but the final one, like InSpec automate command. 1 minute. So before implementing this feature, no, like all this functionality is related to. So there are two commands: InSpec automate command, which we are going to launch, and InSpec compliance command is the previous one. So there are confusions happening with users on the InSpec compliance command, which is and we are planning to slowly deprecate this InSpec compliance command and bring InSpec automate command. So basically, like this command, InSpec automate command, does the automate related functionalities instead of the compliance related functionality. That's why we are going to this route. And what this inspec automate command does, it's like so with this command, users can log in to automate, log out to automate, download a profile from automate, execute a chef automate profile, or list available profiles in the automate. So these are the set of actions or commands which can be done with this. InSpec automate command. I will hand it over to Nikita to give a quick demo about this feature. Over to you, Nikita.
Yeah, sure. So, Lokesh, can you go to the next slide? So, additionally,
Sure.
I would like to add that
Yeah.
this is one of the commands which is interacting with another Chef product, which is Chef Automate. And Chef Automate has got a dashboard like this. It provides you insights into your configurations and compliances. And you can see what's running, what's not, and other analytical features as well. So with this, just like what Lokesh mentioned, I'll give a quick demo of how each and every command is interacting with Automate. So here, this is the older command, which is the compliance command. And we have provided a new alias, which is inspec automate for it. And it has also got all the similar options like the older command one. So we'll start with the demo by logging in first. And after that, we can run all the other commands. Here for the login, you can see you need to provide your username, your API token, and your path to the Automate server or the FKDN of the Automate. And it gives you the message like this that you've successfully logged in. This message means it's a success. Then through this command, through some of the inspect commands.
Nikita, sorry, I think you shared this screen.
Yeah, I've shared the screen. Can you see now? No?
Yes. Yeah, now I can.
I think you should ask question in the start.
Sorry.
Okay. So I'll start again, like the last time. So I was showcasing this is the old command, inspect compliance. And this is the new command, inspect automate. Both of them have got the same options. This one is just the alias to the last one. Now we'll start with the demo by logging in first and then rest of the commands. So as you can see here, now it has got user token, which is the API token, and your paths to the Chef Automate. This is the command to log in. And the message here, stored configuration, this is something which means you have successfully logged in. It stores your configurations. Now we can list out all the profiles which are already part of Automate server by using this inspect command, automate files. And as we can see, 2 profiles, resource and file inputs. Okay, so this is our dashboard of Automate, and we can see here, it's a little slow. Okay, there are 2 profiles here, and these were the 2 profiles which this command output. And then we're going to execute one of the profiles, and we're going to use this as this is the identifier which Automate returns for each and every profile. And yeah, it has successfully ran that profile as this check in every test case. Now we can try one of the other commands, which is download profile, and I'll run through it. And it has successfully downloaded. The output shows that we can check it by grabbing the ls, and yeah, we can see that it did download that profile. Now we can try the upload option. For the upload, you need to provide path to your local profile. I mean, that's what I'm using here to upload it to the Automate. And this is the path to my local profile. I'll jump through. And it takes a while to upload, that's why I'm jumping. And yeah, it has successfully uploaded the profile. We can also check this thing on the panel. And here, now it shows there are 3 profiles. Awesome. Okay, so these were some of the main commands through which you can interact through Automate. You can manage your profiles, you can look over through your profiles. And apart from these, there are some of the help commands to if you want to know more about one of these options, you can log out from this just to be safe, and you can also check the version of Automate. So let's try logging out, because that's a safe thing to do. And once we've done that, it shows it's successfully logged out. And if you want to reuse any of these options so that you can interact with Automate, you need to log in first, and then you can access other options just like we did right now. So yeah, this was pretty much about this demo. Over to you, Rakesh.
Yeah, thanks, Nikita. So the last demoable feature content, it's on the inspec shell input, inspec shell with inputs. So it's basically, say for example, for certain inspect profile, user have to set inputs. With inspect profiles that support inputs, you can set inputs using the inspect shell command. So inspect shell input allows to work like more consistently with the inspect profiles, like when switching between the CL and exec commands. And then the other interesting factor is like CL and YAML are the two options currently you can pass the inputs. So this is basically on the command line option how the input is being set. So Nikita will be giving a quick demo on this one. Over to Nikita.
Yeah, thanks, Lokesh.
I'm stopping me. Yeah, you can
Yeah,
share your screen. Yeah.
let me know if this is visible. It's visible now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we have got two options through which you can provide inputs to your inspect shell. One of them is through CLI, and the way we do it is hyphen inputs, and then you provide your key value pair. And we are going to test.
Nikita, sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt.
Sorry, this is a delay. So I'm clicking it, and every time I click it, it does
Okay.
the opposite of what I wanted to do. So here we go. Here we go. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Go ahead, Nikita.
okay. So yeah, like I was mentioning, you can provide the CLI here. I mean, the inputs through CLI. And let me go back. It ran pretty fast. So this is the test which we are going to test using our inputs which we provided through CLI, just to make sure if those inputs got loaded into our shell. And this is the command how you can load those inputs inside your shell. And now we can see how that works. It takes a few seconds. And it has opened the interactive shell. Now here you can run this test directly and match your values and see if our option is working correctly. And yeah, this is passing. That means this input value was loaded from the CLI, and that's why this test passes. And this is one of the way how you can load your inputs. Now, second way is through your external file, which is the input file. You need to provide this option -f input file, and then path to your input file, which is a YML file. So here we can see there's key values. You can have more complicated values. I've just demoed a variable. And once we run this command, this will load this input file inside the shell, and then we'll run the test. Okay, so now the shell is running. We can copy paste this test, and we can see if this value which we're trying to compare it in the test, we've got it or not. And yeah, since this is success, that means we've got the value loaded properly and everything's working. And yeah, this is how you can load inputs in your shell and play with InSpec. So yeah, this is where I'm done with this demo.
That's really nice. I suspect I'll be showing the InSpec shell on stream a little bit more, because it's really nice just to be able to debug like interactively on the fly that way, rather than having to run InSpec every single time and get get a nice sort of feedback cycle from the shell, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Sure.
Does anyone in the audience have any questions? And again, apologies for that. Like sometimes we'll be clicking buttons in our UI, and we're like, no, that isn't working. That's not doing what we need to do.
Right. I'm having this 3-second delay. Like every time I click a button, there's like 3
Yeah.
seconds before it does something. So like that's it's crazy. Sorry about that, y'all.
All right. So Dan, we can wrap it up with the last slide of information on the other key interesting elements. Can you share the screen?
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. So there's some of the other key interesting features which we can't demo right now. It's like so the first one is like reporter include source option. So this option is basically to add the source code of the control. Second feature is to filter the controls in the dependent profile with controls -FN controls and -FN tags option. Let's say for example a profile A has 100 controls and profile B has like 100 controls. If there are 15 controls depending on profile B from profile A, and you have to filter those controls. So this option comes handy, like -FN controls and -FN tag option. And then the third feature, the other interesting feature is to add the Docker URL directly. So it's like a CLI option to basically connect to Docker engine. And then the fourth feature is to add support for targeting Linux and Windows container running on Docker for Windows. And then the fifth one is to add support for Alibaba Cloud Linux 3 to Chef InSpec service resource. This feature came from a lot of customer as well. And then the sixth one is like to support Mac OS packages for the ARM architecture. And this is like our traditional roadmap item. This Mac OS packages. We ensure that we support new platform whichever up in the market in a right time and in the and in which makes the product fit easily. And then the last one, it's on the adding a clear cache option. It's basically to eliminate the cache option in the CLI. This is the another interesting feature which we have launched. I think we have come to the end of the session. Any questions, any comments, any concerns on these features? It's a lot of effort came from Vasuntara, Nikita, and Clinton. So these are the three key developers who are working this InSpec team for the past 1 year, from January to till now, and they are working day and night to ship these features and addressing your requirements on time, folks. Thanks, Nikita, and thanks, Vasantara.
That was a really nice like yearly wrap up almost, wasn't it?
Right.
Like, there's a ton of features gone in recently, and I think it's nice for us all to see some of them come out, because like I don't know about you, I'll just go back to the InSpec docs and be like, oh, something else has appeared. Oh, something else has appeared. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that. And then, like, when we do these community meetings, we'll get the updates from your team. But to kind of go through everything and see it working is it's spectacular. Kudos to the team for all these great updates.
Yeah, it's very nice. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
And if
Thank you all.
there are no questions from the audience,
Yeah.
I think we would be okay to wrap up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think unless anyone else wants to add anything to our demos, I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thanks, Kia. Thanks. And
Thanks,
thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Yeah. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.